it's chasing that same feeling, that same idea.
The characters are broader, but they're also more appealing and to a larger audience as a result.
And so it became this foundational text for a lot of people who are watching Christmas movies.
Welcome one, welcome all to ScreenRant's Challenge My Goats. My name is Liam Crowley, and I'm your shepherd through this journey of superlatives as we crown some of the greatest topics in film, television, music, entertainment as a whole, history, and we're keeping those December spirits high by tackling another Christmas topic, this time the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Our expert today, back in the chair in a different spot that he's been in the past 2 weeks, but once again, bringing back to the Challenge My Goat stage is Mr. Todd Gilchrist, the head of original content at ScreenRant. Todd, welcome back. You're our champion this week. What makes you qualified to debate the greatest Christmas movie of all time, and what is your pick?
Well, we're recording this the day after my birthday, which is a week before Christmas. My mom's birthday is Christmas Day. My family's my entire life has been, so much of our experiences shared have been built around Christmas. And so Christmas as a holiday is extremely important to me. But also, as a film critic, I gravitate towards and enjoy the process of watching Christmas movies during the holidays. And so I've spent years and years and years picking my favorites, discovering new things and stuff like that. And so I'm extremely happy to get to participate in this particular debate because, Christmas and Christmas movies are so personal to me. And so I'm thrilled to be able to participate again in this conversation.
And your pick?
My pick is It's a Wonderful Life.
I'm going to save my thoughts for the debate section itself. And I'm not even supposed to be participating in the debate. And it's a great pick. It's a great pick. It's one of those ones where I feel like you can't talk about the greatest Christmas movies of all time without bringing It's a Wonderful Life into the conversation. I'm excited to hear what points you have to make about why it is your GOAT. But you have a challenger tonight. Your challenger is Brandon Zachary, a senior writer here at ScreenRant. Brandon, what makes you qualified to declare the greatest Christmas movie of all time? And save your pick. I don't want to hear it just yet.
Oh, yeah, of course. No, I'm kind of in a similar boat as Todd of Christmas was always my favorite holiday growing up. It was my family's favorite holiday growing up. And as from a family of nothing but cinephiles, like that meant constant Christmas rotation. I married a woman who also had a very similar family connection to Christmas and a love of Christmas films. I love testing it and trying new ones every year. I love finding ones that I've never seen before. I love redoing the same classics, especially now that I have a son of my own who has been getting to watch more and more of these. Slight spoiler for our arguments. One of my points is going to be related to the fact that my son was invested wholeheartedly in my pick very quickly, whereas It's a Wonderful Life, while a fantastic film, isn't the best. It lost him within a few minutes, and as it has a couple of things that make it not the best. It's very good. I'll lead with, it's not a bad pick. It's not the right pick, is just the argument that I'm going to be kind of fighting on the hill for.
Okay, we got a little bit of fire early on. I'm excited to hear the debate stage of this episode. But for now, we need to hear your opening statements. We need to hear you guys lay the foundation. Todd, we'll come to you first. You got 60 seconds to lay your foundation. Tell me what makes It's a Wonderful Life the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Sure. Well, notwithstanding the institutional existence of this movie, that it has been a perennial classic since 1946, not least of which because it was one of the early films that got syndicated on television. And so it got showed and showed and showed. And so it became this foundational text for a lot of people who are watching Christmas movies. That notwithstanding, that's just information. But what makes this movie so extraordinary is that it is such a complete encapsulation of almost every single theme that revolves or that is essential to Christmas. We talk about the idea of family. We talk about the idea of helping others. We talk about the idea of dreaming, about things that we want to happen. All of these things that to me are just remind me of Christmas as soon as I start watching it, and not just because it's set at Christmas.
All right. You hit a couple of my points early on about, what makes a Christmas movie is always kind of a shade of gray, because obviously there's the time of year, there's the decorations, there's the music element, but there's an unspoken element, a thematic element behind it all. And you touched on a lot of it in your opening statement. So you're off to a good start. Brandon, you got 60 seconds to first tell me why you disagree. Why is It's a Wonderful Life not the greatest Christmas movie of all time?
Well, I'll start with kind of immediately rebutting the idea that, like, this is a movie that we all kind of saw as a foundational text of the holiday film genre, but that's by necessity, not by choice. This is not a film that found its audience. It's a film that landed its audience, and we were all kind of stuck with it growing up with it. It is a movie that is not nearly as timeless as you think it is. It is very much rooted in its era, with a lot of elements like Pottersville that, in retrospect, are like, yeah, I get what the moral is and the point is, but also Pottersville looks kind of cool and better in an advancement of this township. There are elements of the film's politics, and especially kind of some of the roles that some of the characters have, that did not age the best. It's very, very good for its time, but it's not necessarily as timeless as you think. It's also, I have trouble calling it the best Christmas movie ever when it's not even the best Frank Capra movie ever. Like, it's a film that has a lot to like, but there are elements like it's kind of like it doesn't resolve its main actual conflict at the end of the film. It has a lot of elements that make you kind of look at the characters and go, wow, I just wish you would kind of shut up for a minute. Like, there's a lot. I think that's my minute.
That's your minute. Oh, man, you're coming back with some fire, calling it a necessity to watch. It's more of a chore than an actual foundational text. I could see Todd making some faces. We're going to have some chestnuts roasting over this open fire when we get to the debate itself. Brandon, I need to know, though, before we actually get into setting It's a Wonderful Life against a challenger pick, we got to know what your challenger pick is.
Well, as any former teenager who shopped at Hot Topic way too much can tell you, it's A Nightmare Before Christmas, obviously. Like, it's a movie where Christmas is inherently the core of the film. Like, you can remove Christmas from It's a Wonderful Life and still have those morals and those character arcs work. You cannot pull Christmas out of a nightmare.
It's a Wonderful Life versus The Nightmare Before Christmas. Todd, I need to hear some rebuttal from you, because we've heard a lot from Brandon so far. What's your emotions towards The Nightmare Before Christmas? And do you fully consider it? I know this is the classic debate, right? It obviously is a Christmas movie, but sometimes I look at A Nightmare Before Christmas and I'm like, does it feel more Halloween, though?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that it kind of splits the difference. And that's why I say, I agree with you that I agree with you, Liam, that it is a Christmas movie and also arguably a Halloween movie. And I think because of that, it sort of bifurcates its power in that way, like as being attached to a specific holiday. I think that Nightmare Before Christmas is a good film, but I also think that I would call it like an iconoclastic one at best, because its purpose is to sort of deconstruct sort of Christmas mythology, iconography, all of these things, rather than leaning into exploring and celebrating sort of the core tenets of, the Christmas or the holiday season.
Todd has the best vernacular in the history of Challenge My Goat. Iconoclastic? Goddamn. You had a couple words during the James Cameron episode where I was like, I'm getting my thesaurus out here. But I do know iconoclastic. Shout out Edge from WWE. He had a t-shirt that once said iconoclast on it. Brandon, coming back to you, something I want to know that I always like to kind of start these debates with is the nostalgia temp check. When did you first watch The Nightmare Before Christmas, and who are you with? Set the stage for me, because I need to know if this is a pick that's based on nostalgia. I feel like this whole debate is based on the nostalgia, though. You can't have a favorite Christmas movie without a nostalgia component to it.
I don't, but I can't wait to get to that part of my. Please go ahead, Brandon.
Let's
hear from you.
No, I completely understand, because I think you're right. In nostalgia, because so much of the holiday season as a whole is rooted in the nostalgic feelings that we experience for family, for friendship, for the community togetherness. Like, that is such a core element of any movie that was going to be in this conversation. I first saw this film, I want to say I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. And here's the trick, is it was not one that immediately landed with me. I thought it was fine when I was a kid, but it didn't really land with me until I resaw it a few years later. And I, about to become a teenager, I watched it with my sister and just kind of was stunned by how much all of a sudden the outsider archetype meant so much more to a 12-year-old than it meant to a 9-year-old. And that became kind of a big root of when I started to love it. It's not a film that I really had an immediate, and I go back to that warm feeling every time. It's a film that I've grown to appreciate more and more as I've gotten older. And I say that the fact that I appreciate it more now is shocking, considering I wore a Jack Skellington hoodie for constantly in high school because of how much I love this. I grew to love this film.
And Todd, you claim to be a pure soul here. No nostalgia with It's a Wonderful Life from you. I don't know if I fully believe that.
Well, here's the thing about It's a Wonderful Life. I did not see it until adulthood. I didn't see it till probably I was at least 30 or 35. And in fact, the first time I saw it, I really didn't like it. It didn't land with me at all. I felt like it was, I felt like it had all of these sort of qualities in terms of being about this character who was very angry and frustrated and these other things that to me did not feel Christmassy, and it really overshadowed. And then I watched it 2 or 3 years later, and it hit exactly the opposite way. And it absolutely just became an instant favorite for me in that moment. And, subsequent to that, I've watched it. And, to me, that's kind of one of the things that I love most about it is that to go back to sort of the idea of nostalgia, it does feed into ideas and feelings of the season. So it does feed into that kind of nostalgia, but it's not a cinematic nostalgia that I'm chasing. If I were to pick Home Alone because I saw it when I was 15 or whatever, then that might be a different situation. But the thing about this movie to me is that it's not just a straightforward adaptation of A Christmas Carol, for example, despite the fact that it is distantly inspired by A Christmas Carol, but the idea that it really encapsulates this really powerful humanity of these characters, and because of that, it intensifies the emotional power of the journey that these characters go on by the end, and makes it that much more special as a Christmas and Christmas watching experience.
Okay, I stand corrected, and I'm glad you brought up the element of the fact that it really hit for you when you watched it again a couple of years later, because Christmas movies, especially in this debate, you can't have the greatest Christmas movie of all time without it being incredibly rewatchable.
Yeah.
The films that we enjoy in Christmas time, I can't remember the last time during a Christmas season that I watched a movie for the first time. I cycle through all of my favorites every December. So Brandon, coming back to you, I want you to talk about Nightmare Before Christmas's rewatchability value. Do you ever get sick of this movie? Do you save it for October or December? How do you rewatch it, and how has that built up its prestige for you in your minds?
Oh, absolutely. So I will lead with, I'm one of the people who hates the argument that this is a Halloween film, because I will argue, I'll die on the hill. This movie opens at 11:58 on Halloween night, and then they're like, all right, holiday's done, guys! And then they're like, that's it. There's no more the core emotional spirit of the film is so rooted in that Christmas tradition, that Christmas spirit, because the moral of the story is that anybody can celebrate this holiday. Anybody, you don't have to be any particular denomination, you don't have to be any particular from any particular culture, any particular place. You can find that spirit of Christmas and not only make it feel authentic to the season, but authentic to yourself. That's the moral of the story at the end of the film, where they have a Christmas, but it's a Halloween-y Christmas. It's still so inherently a Christmas movie. Speaking to the rewatchability, that music is so good that you can't stop yourself from humming. The stop-motion animation is so charming that you just love falling in love with it each and every time. It is a relatively straightforward and simple and broad story, but that gives it such a great universal appeal that rewatches and revisits and watches with new people who've never seen it before can find something new, and anybody can connect with it. I feel that all of that really lends itself a rewatchability, an ability to, it always finds a way to charm you, even if it's just you find yourself humming that song, those songs again, because Danny Elfman's score is so good in this film. There is better music in Nightmare Before Christmas than anything musically that's in It's a Wonderful Life, which is a bit, singing at Christmas. Come on.
Todd, is he nodding a lot? Yeah, are we agreeing with Brandon's points here?
Halfway, I would say. I mean, the thing is that, I saw Nightmare Before Christmas and when it came out in the theater originally, and I liked it quite a bit. I think it's a good film, but I also think that it is by design, embracing an outsider's approach to Christmas. And so that, to me, sort of disqualifies it as a Christmas movie in the vein of classic Christmas stories. And that's why I was suggesting it was sort of iconoclastic, because it is about an outsider approaching wrongly sort of the iconography of Christmas. And he's right that the music is fantastic, the imagery is fantastic, but I also think that it's a movie that's sort of about a person who is trying to appropriate in a literal and metaphorical way, appropriate sort of Christmas and doing it wrong. And I think that there's sort of a traditional lesson to be learned there that I think that fits in with lots of other more traditional Christmas movies. But I think that that's what makes it stands out, but it's, to me, not sort of a foundational sort of Christmas movie in the way that, Christmas Vacation or A Christmas Story or It's a Wonderful Life, I think fits.
Brandon, he's calling it not a traditional Christmas movie.
Well, I would argue against that because, like I was saying, the core, yes, it does open with kind of a deconstruction of Christmas. You're right to bring up that it focuses on a character who is appropriating this holiday and trying to kind of force it into his own kind of cultural understanding. But that ends up being kind of the core central moral of the film, is that doing that is incorrect. The true spirit of Christmas that is reflected in, as you said, Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, all these other films, that is evidenced through Sally's relationship with Jack in the film. The Christmas spirit actually only ever really advances when Sally, the character who just kind of gets actually kind of understands, I want to give him a gift because I like him and I want to make him feel better. I want to be there with the people I love. I want to, all those kind of things. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. That is kind of like the core, that is at the very core of the film. Yes, it starts with a deconstruction, but it builds to ultimately a moral of the story is, yes, Christmas, this is the spirit of Christmas. This is, you can be a vampire, you can be the little Christmas elves. The Easter Bunny could have theoretically stayed in the town and Halloween Town and found the same kind of spirit. It starts with a deconstruction, but reconstructs the themes that you're talking about very much. That becomes the clear through line of the film, building to that iconic kiss at the end on the hill, where it's a moment of Jack wanting to be with recognizing somebody who cares about him and wanting to be with them, which is exactly the kind of emotion you're looking at in something like A Christmas Story or It's a Wonderful Life. That is a film that does it. And Nightmare Before Christmas does it with more filmmaking ambition than any other Christmas film that's ever been made. Stop motion, collaborative spirit that you get between Tim Burton's creative designs, Henry Selick's direction, the stop motion animation team, Danny Elfman's music, the entire cast, Art Calloway as Oogie Boogie. There's so much of a collaborative filmmaking spirit. This is the most impressive Christmas film ever made, which has to speak for something, the fact that it's also still one of the most emotional Christmas movies ever made.
A lot of hyperboles out there, a lot of superlatives thrown for you there at the end of that argument. But Todd, I see you shaking your head. I have a question I want to pose to both of you before we wrap up the debate section. But Todd, I want to give you the floor to respond to some of the stuff that Brandon just said there.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the idea of it being the most emotional. I can say that I and it's been a long time since I've watched A Nightmare Before Christmas, I admit, but there is not a time that I can watch It's a Wonderful Life without sobbing through huge portions of that movie. And it's not because, and this goes back, I think your arguments are great. However, what I think that It's a Wonderful Life does much better is that it captures the complexity, the human complexity. And I don't mean human as opposed to a stop motion figure. I just mean the human complexity of what people go through, because we watch a lot of Christmas movies, in my opinion, where there are a lot of characters who are doing good. They're trying to do good. They are able to deal, some of the things are treated comically, like in Christmas Vacation. But in this movie, it's about a person whose natural instinct is to try to help others and to be good and to be supportive and to do all these things. But that doesn't mean it's easy for him. And that's what makes the story so powerful to me when you watch It's a Wonderful Life, is because you're sitting there and you're like, God, he's kind of a dick and he's pissed off and he's not as kind to his family. And, he's upset that he didn't get to fulfill these literal lifelong ambitions because he put other people's needs ahead of his own. But the thing is that what you learn in the cathartic experience of watching It's a Wonderful Life is watching a story about how a person gets to learn first in a sort of fantastical way when he goes on a journey where he learns what the world was like without him ever being born. But in terms of being, if not rewarded, then sort of reimbursed, not just financially, but spiritually, by all of the support and the care and the prioritization that he gave to all the people of Bedford Falls over himself, over all of his needs. And that's what makes the end of that movie so unbelievably powerful to me, because it's just about this kind of amazing thing of going, it's not easy to put other people first. It's not easy to do what is right. It's easier to do the thing that makes money or is successful or is easy. And, but the fact that he goes through that experience, he struggles with it. And then what ends up happening is he sees the impact that he's caused. And that to me is like so beautiful that that to me is alone why It's a Wonderful Life is the most, is the best and most transcendent of these movies. Because I feel like even a movie like Nightmare Before Christmas, which is great in its own way, I still think in many ways it's chasing that same feeling, that same idea that Frank Capra did so effectively with It's a Wonderful Life.
I agree with you. It is a very emotionally effective ending to It's a Wonderful Life. Does George Bailey get arrested December 26th, though? Like, the film does not resolve his actual legal issues, and Potter might actually still win in the end. Like, it's like that's one of the things that has always kind of caught me about the film, just on like a nitpicky level, but Potter doesn't get his comeuppance. Like a true Christmas film, like I feel like a Christmas film does have a sense of inherent morality to it. If you want to see the people, like you said, getting to see that spiritual side of the character, that good core of George Bailey and all of his good deeds reflected in the people who have helped it, that he has helped now helping him. Like you want that emotional through, like full emotional arc. And I have always been bugged at the fact that the film ends with, but like he's still gonna get, like, Potter wins, right? Like he's still gonna get George arrested, and his last line is yelling, "You'll be in jail tomorrow." like that's something that's just, I'm sorry to derail the debate real quick. That is something that's always bugged me about the film, and I've never had anything like that bug me in Nightmare. To bring it back around to the debate.
I'll answer in my final statement. So yeah, please.
Okay, I was going to say, what I will say is I appreciate Brandon throwing some shots towards It's a Wonderful Life, because I feel like Brandon was very defensive of Nightmare Before Christmas throughout this whole debate. So I'm glad we did get at least some retaliatory shots towards It's a Wonderful Life before we wrap this up. I will give you the chance to say that in your final minute. Honestly, I'm going to extend the closing statements to 2 minutes just for this week, because I want to throw a curveball of my own. I want you in your closing statement to tell me, I'm going to set the stage for you guys. It's Christmas Eve. Your whole family's gathered around, younger cousins, older aunts and uncles, grandparents, everyone's gathered at your household, and you're going to now argue for why we're going to put on your respective pick. Because Christmas movies, like Christmas as a holiday, is all about family and spending time with people. One of my favorite Christmas movies, Serendipity. I watched it alone because it was the first time I watched it was during the COVID winter, so everyone was having their Christmases alone. And it was nice, it cheered me up. But then when the credits rolled, I looked around and I was like, man, I'm alone right now. I all my fondest memories are watching these films with my friends, with my family, with my loved ones. So, Todd, you can respond to what Brandon said there a little bit, but I also want you to address setting the stage, Christmas Eve. Why are we putting on It's a Wonderful Life for all the family, both younger and older?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, just to briefly encapsulate, and this isn't less trying to defend my movie than to explain what I love about it, which is that the movie is about what a person does and how the world sees them, and the important people in the world sees them. And as a result, that doesn't mean, I mean, we have lots of people who will say now, if it's like, oh, the best revenge is living well. And, living well is a statement that it means different things to different people. But the idea that he is reminded of the value that he has in his family, in his life, in his community, and the people that he supports and they support him. To me, that's a beautiful lesson that transcends any need for there to be a comeuppance for Mr. Potter, deservingly though he may be. Secondarily, I will say that there is a very specific shot in the final scene where the people who are coming to arrest him, they like literally go like, whatever. And they give him money just like the rest of the people in the city, in the town. So it's not there's not a situation where they are like literally going to put him in shackles and take him away. Nevertheless, to go back to your original sort of marching orders, Liam, what I would say on Christmas Eve, if we were watching this movie, is that, it admittedly is a movie whose complexities are probably too high for like a small child. But to me, like, what's amazing is you watch the movie, it starts with these with literal like celestial beings like talking to one another, and it seems weird, it seems a little silly, it's kind of fantastical, but you start watching it and you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And so you have this thing where it kind of transports you, it takes you to a new place, and then you get to watch a sort of modified version of A Christmas Carol story. So it does have that sort of traditional element, but what ends up happening is that it puts you on this journey. You're watching it with people who get to be entertained, they get to be moved. And then what ends up happening is they get to the end and they have an experience where you're looking at it with a bunch of people, and that you're with the right people when you're all reacting the same way, because it is such a beautiful and rewarding and transcendent experience. And so I cannot recommend it highly enough to any person at any time of year, but especially at Christmas.
I hope you're making the desserts this year, Todd, because Chef Gilchrist came to cook today. Good God. A couple big monologues from you. Brandon, I'll give you 2 minutes as well. Feel free to respond to Todd's points, but also you especially. I really want to hear what makes The Nightmare Before Christmas the perfect whole family gathered around Christmas Eve watch.
Sure. So, kind of very quickly responding to Todd, I think the ultimate problem with This Wonderful Life as the best Christmas movie ever was kind of voiced perfectly by Todd. It's a film you can do any time of year. Christmas is not the core emotional element of this film. This is a film that has a very good, as you said, complex, specific human story going on at its core, but it doesn't necessarily need the holiday season, the holiday spirit. It's a story of George, and not necessarily the spirit of the story about the spirit of the holiday itself. What makes Nightmare so perfectly attuned, especially for that kind of that hypothetical you're describing, Liam, of having the whole family together. It's a movie that I can put on and my son or my nieces will be drawn in by the music and will be drawn in by the kind of the storytelling, like some of that stuff. The teens and the young adults will be drawn in by the subversive approach to the holiday spirit. And the whole family will be drawn in by the fact that it is ultimately a reformation, like a reaffirmation of what makes this season so good and so unique and so special. It's a vivid, colorful, unforgettably designed film that benefits from the season being so forefront and center and at the core of the narrative, and the thematic elements. It's a movie that you cannot divorce from the Christmas season. It is the perfect movie to do at the end of the Christmas Eve, because it is so reflective of, and broadly speaking, like, it does not have the specific, as you described, kind of humanity, specific complex characters. The characters are broader, but they're also more appealing and to a larger audience as a result. This is a movie that can speak to you even if you don't have anything in common with George Bailey and his experience, which I think is something that does give it an edge in this argument. It is also, because you're talking about finding that same experience, I think Nightmare has a wider range of emotional experiences. I for one, have never cried at It's a Wonderful Life. I really like It's a Wonderful Life, but it's never made me tear up.
You might just be dead inside.
But you're talking to a guy who tears up when he watches Scrooged and Elf and Nightmare sometimes. Like, there are holiday movies that will gut me in a very specific way. And It's a Wonderful Life is very good as a 1940s dramedy, as a film of its time, of its era. It's a great example of Frank Capra as a filmmaker. Not the best, but Nightmare is such an amazing collaborative effort that appeals to kids on you can laugh at it, you can sing with it, you can be won over by the romance, you can be creeped out by some of the visual elements. It's a movie that it might not get the same specific response, but it will get an emotional response from your audience, and that's what you want as a family, to share that birth of the human experience together on an evening like Christmas. That's the literal point of the holiday.
You both went a little bit over on your closing statements, but again, it's Christmas time. I'm in the season of giving. You know what I mean? I'm giving you guys a little bit of extra time. If you are reading this article right now on ScreenRant.com, if you're reading Todd's verbal argument in written form, scroll on down to the bottom of the article, head on over to the comments section and let us know not only who you agree with, but also what your pick would be, because there's a million great Christmas movies. I'm going to promote myself real quick. I was just on Fox 5 here in New York City where I was talking about some of my favorite Christmas movies, and the two that I brought to the table were The Polar Express and Serendipity. I gave some love to Serendipity earlier in this episode. The Polar Express, the first film I ever saw in theaters, and I still have the ticket stub, and quite magically on that ticket stub, it was on 11/11/2004, and the receipt was for 1:11 p.m. Kind of crazy. Feels serendipitous to have all those numbers together, and that's how I bow tie it all together with my two favorite Christmas movies, Polar Express and Serendipity. So lots of great vibes this time of year, especially in the cinematic category. Guys, thanks so much for popping by Challenged by Go. Thanks for, awakening my Christmas spirit even further than it's already been. Living in this city, again, this is one of my first Christmases in New York, and being around all the decor, being around all of the landmarks that are related to Christmas movies. Anytime I'm walking by the plaza, I'm like, that's the set of Home Alone. That's where the Macy's in Herald Square. That's where Buddy the Elf goes for his shopping spree. I love this time of year. I love getting to talk movies with y'all. So again, thank you for a great debate. And this is one that I'm glad I don't got to call it, because good God, I can't choose between you two. Todd, always a joy to have you on Challenge My Goat. You're a regular at this point. What do you got cooking up over at Screen Rant? What are you looking forward to this holiday season? And any big plans for 2026 that you can tease?
My wife and I are having a baby in January, so that's a pretty big plan.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's a wonderful life indeed.
Truly. But other than that, on Screen Rant, we are the day after this runs, which will run on Christmas Day. We will be rolling out our top 10s across all the segments. And so it'll be top 10 movies, top 10 TV, all those kinds of things. And I'm really excited, and I'm hoping that also inspires some discussion and debate from our readers, because, we put together, I think, certainly for the film segment, I think we put together a really interesting list of really worthy titles, but ones that may fall slightly outside of the predicted, films that everybody have been proclaiming the best films of the year.
Top 10 lists. They're always so civil and always so everyone agrees with all the picks and no one's upset at all. No one's upset that Lost Americana wasn't included in Screen Rant's top 10 albums of the year. No one's upset about that. Anyways, Brandon, I'm excited to read all of those lists again. They're some of my favorite things to do. That kind of gray area between Christmas and New Year's Eve. How do I fill that time in my free time? I read the top 10 lists. I watch the top 10 videos. And Screen Rant, we always put together a well-argued list. Everything here, nothing's random. It all comes with very contentious points. Brandon, over to you. What you got cooking on ScreenRant.com? Anything you want to tease? Anything you want to plug? The floor is yours.
I've got a couple features in the works. I've got some Oscar stuff coming up, just because that's the other season that we're in the middle of, is the awards season. So there'll be some coverage from me coming up about that. More coverage about the awards season coming up from that. The fun one, I guess, I can kind of bring up is that I spoke to Todd a little bit about this. I had a script that didn't quite make the blacklist, but turned out to be in the running, which was very neat. So we'll see what, if anything, comes of that next year, which is fingers crossed. Besides that, just check out any other features you see my silly-looking mug on. It's just a good excuse. And yell at me. You can find me on social media pretty much anywhere at yell_@_BZ. Just come yell at me about pop culture. And hopefully tell me I'm right, because that's usually my favorite thing to hear.
Brandon's got a hell of a catalog over on Screen Rant. I always love reading his stuff. Very well comprehensive pieces on the site. As for me, things are wrapping up right now, and it's kind of hard to realize what's going up when because of embargoes and all that. But what I will shout out, this is going out on Christmas Day. So Stranger Things 5 Volume 2 will be out. Once you finish those 3 episodes, head on over to ScreenRant.com, because I got spoiler-filled interviews with Jamie Campbell-Bower, who plays Vecna, and the Duffer Brothers, who created this whole thing, talking all things about Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2. You're going to want to hear their thoughts from an analytical standpoint on the events that go down in those batches of episodes. Beyond that, it's just been a great year. I am just very fortuitous to get to cover this kind of stuff and get to talk with you guys about our favorite Christmas movies and what, gets us out of bed in the morning. And 2025 in film and television and music and entertainment as a whole, it's been a great year. So I'm going to look back on this one very, very fondly. And 2026, man, Dune Prophecy, The Odyssey, we got freaking Avengers Doomsday, say what you will. It's a big year for blockbusters on the horizon. So excited to go down that rabbit hole when the time does come. Socials at Liam T. Crowley. As for ScreenRant, at ScreenRant everywhere. That's my spiel. You guys got anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Go watch No Other
I think
Choice.
it's Christmas Eve by the time we're done with this. So yeah, let's do it.
Go check out No Other Choice. It's one of the best movies of the year. I'm so excited to talk to everybody about Goofy Parasite.
My sleeper pick is Lurker. It came out over the summer. It's on
Lurker
Mubi.
was good.
And one of my favorite indies of the year.
I like that movie.
We got a debate coming up in 2026. Yeah. Anyways, I've made this gone on long enough. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you soon.